Guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back at one of my favorite filming spot locations because guess what? We have that one performance SUV that refuses to die. It's this vehicle right here. This is a 2025 Dodge Durango Hellcat, but this isn't your regular Hellcat, if you could even say that. This is the limited Durango Hellcat Hammerhead. But before we get into this supercharged sleeper of an SUV, let's talk about what's going on here. So performance SUVs are becoming more of a norm. You're seeing lots of different brands bring high performance drivetrains to their SUVs. Of course, Dodge really did it in a big way starting in 2022 when they came out with the Durango Hellcat. Now I know in the beginning people thought there was just going to be 1 year and 1 year only. And those original owners, some of them are pretty pissed off and actually filed a class action lawsuit against Dodge. But for a lot of people that didn't get a Durango Hellcat the first time around, having this still continue is giving them another opportunity. Plus, it's allowing Dodge to have some different versions, some special editions. Now, this Hammerhead edition is all about the sleeper look. It's not about getting a lot of attention with your eyes, with a popping color or special wheels or racing stripes. It's all about hiding everything, but you knowing that underneath the hood is that supercharged power. So what I want to find out is this Hammerhead the way to go when it comes to a performance SUV? Is it the best one out there? Let's go ahead, let's dive into ours and find out. Now the Hammerhead comes exactly the way that you see this one spec'd. It is in a color called Night Moves. And on your phone or your computer monitor or whatever you're watching us right now on, it may appear to be black. It's not. It's actually a beautiful, almost like a deep sea metallic blue finish. Absolutely love it. Very subtle, but it pops when the light hits it just right. You'll notice we still have, of course, that LED daytime running lamp, LED headlight, all nestled in that stylish housing. Working our way down, more of that Night Moves, and we have functionality for our corner air vents here. Not only for the heat exchangers, but remember, they did add an additional engine oil cooler for this over 700 horsepower beast. Love the way everything is blended nicely into the front fascia, and everything is in that color called Night Moves. Now, as we shimmy across the front grille, simple flat black design, fully functional up top with our SRT badge, street and racing technology. There's the Hellcat logo. That's one of the few ways to know that this is a special SUV. Working our way down, more Night Moves and more functionality on the lower portion. You'll notice our big splitter, all body color and nicely blended in. These are all functional pieces to give us downforce and to flow lots of cool air. But when it comes to performance SUVs, say what you want about this thing being dated, it still looks mean and lean and definitely is a muscle machine. Now, as we rise up, the other part of the Hammerhead package is you'll notice our painted satin black hood. I like the way they didn't paint the whole hood satin black, just a certain part of it. So you have your functional hood scoop and our functional heat extractors on both sides. And this hood looks like a Hammerhead. I mean, it looks like the gills off of a shark. Really, really killer. Now, as we come around the bend, you may not like the look, but it's all about blending in with everybody else. You have these simple metallic silver wheels, 20-inch wheel, bespoke design. They even take the 6-piston Brembos, and on the Hammerhead edition, they're painted black to just be subtle with the Brembo script. And it doesn't even say SRT on the caliper, it just says Brembo. They're hiding all that. You got your 16.7-inch rotors, 2-piece rotor, slotted, and like I said, 2-piece to cut down on heat buildup. We have our adaptive suspension, all 4 corners, and of course, you're gonna get all-wheel drive, getting the power to the ground. But let me know what you think about the subtle look. I like the silver, simple, subtle silver with the night moves and everything painted around that fender opening. Now when we come down the side, you have your satin silver on the Hellcat badge, gloss black on the mirror caps with your turn signals blended in, and then from the side, I love the way there's no roof rails, nothing stuck up top, it's just super clean, mid-size 3-row SUV. Now, one of the many reasons why I like this more than an Escalade V is the overall size. Escalade V is ginormous. This has a little bit better size to it. Working our way towards the rear, remember it's rear-wheel drive base, and you'll see that we got Brembos all 4 corners. They don't go cheap on the rear calipers. Swinging around back, it's almost a home run. The only zonk I have is this exposed wiper. Get rid of this, but I like the way that on the Hellcat you have that additional kick up on the rear spoiler. We got our SRT badge with the Hellcat there, full LED lighting. And then as we work our way down the ground level, on the Hammerhead, they're actually silver. I know it's hard to see because they're kind of dirty, but the exhaust tips, the slash cut on both sides, are actually silver instead of black. And then you remove this and you could tow up to 8,700 pounds with this Durango Hellcat Hammerhead. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood. She looks good on the outside. Let's see the heart of this Hammerhead. All right guys, Goonies never say die, and definitely this supercharged Hemi is not saying die on this Durango Hellcat. There she is in all her glory. That's that 6.2 liter supercharged V8. Love that massive supercharger. You have the orange on the valve covers. And what are we talking about though? We're talking about 710 horsepower, 645 pound-feet of torque. It's made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission, that TorqueFlite 8-speed, 0 to 60 with launch control, 3.4 seconds. Quarter mile is gonna blaze by at 11.9 seconds at 115 miles an hour. MPGs, if you really care about this, I got a Prius I wanna show you. MPGs, 12 in the city, 17 on the highway, and the vehicle weighs 5,534 pounds. So it's one of those things that this is it. It's coming to an end, but it's hanging on by a thread, having that supercharged Hemi. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and hear this Hellcat roar. All right guys, we're inside this 2025 Durango Hellcat Hammerhead. There are 2 other special editions that they're gonna have for 2025. The Brass Monkey, which I actually filmed that at the LA Auto Show last year, and also the Silver Bullet. All 3, including this Hammerhead, has an MSRP of $115,000. Now, that is definitely quite a bit of money, but if you look at other performance SUVs, they're gonna be well over $100,000. Cadillac Escalade V is $155,000. But let's see what you get when you go Hammerhead to the door panels. Love the clean style, the soft touch forged carbon fiber, and then you'll notice the 2-tone stitching. That is unique to the Hammerhead. We have the Harman Kardon sound system. Door pocket is tight, so maybe just one Costco hot dog and a Pepsi to wash it down. Going from the door panel to the dash, nice soft touch material, more of that forged carbon fiber, that 2-tone stitching. You do have a 12 volt, and I do recommend running a radar detector. And you have your Twinkie hammock for when you're at the drag strip. More of that 2-tone stitching. Slide on in, yes, it is dated, but it's all about what's underneath the hood in this thing. 10.25 inch Uconnect 5. What's great is that it's very intuitive. You also have your camera, which will enlarge to the whole 10.25 inches. The thing is that I really like is when you go into things like your race option. Love the way you could have your launch control. You could set your launch control, what type of RPM you want to be at. Your shift light, we can go back, and then you could bring up your different drive modes. Nice to have that. And then of course also on top of that, your performance pages. Working our way down, you got a bright red start-stop button, love that. Dual climate control with real buttons and knobs. 3 stages of heated seats, 3 stages of ventilated seats, heated steering wheel. There's your launch control tab, SRT tab, wireless charging, more forged carbon fiber inside on the passenger side here, USB-Cs, USB-As, aux jacks, and a place for 4 more track Twinkies. This is going to control your TorqueFlite 8-speed automatic, and look, they did the stitching. So they did the stitching right. Say what you say about it being dated, the stitching is on needlepoint. Of course, we have the red key, baby. There it is. Remote start, you're going to love doing that to people in parking lots. Soft on the armrest, more stitching. Open it up. This is where you're going to keep the tears of all the people who went out and bought EVs. Just going to keep their tears in there that they don't have that supercharged rumble underneath their hood. Seats, this is one of the reasons why it's called Hammerhead. Hammerhead gray seats. They actually took the seat color from actual pictures of Hammerheads. Love the way they did the embroidery. Nice soft bolstering, full electric assist for the passenger, full electric assist for the driver. You got an Alcantara headliner and just a standard sunroof. It would be nice to have a panoramic sunroof. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of this Hammerhead. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have 2 memory seat settings. I love the supercharged aluminum sill plate. And then the pedal box, nice aluminum brake pedal, throttle, no aluminum dead pedal. There's not really a dead pedal whatsoever. That to me is stupid. That's a zonk. You do have your seat controls, easy to get to. And then of course, I'm 6 feet tall. I love the way I feel at command of this beast. Alcantara on the steering wheel with the 2-tone stitching. Flat black on the switchgear. You got your metal paddles to go through that 8-speed TorqueFlite automatic transmission. It does have a power tilting and telescoping wheel. And then you have that 8-inch digital display flanked by the analog gauges, and you can scroll through a cornucopia of information in that center display, which is great, especially when it comes to voltmeter, all your different gauges, more gauges than what they had when they landed on the moon when it came to information, even your boost pressure from that supercharger.
Canceled.
But other than that, the one thing this does not have is a head-up display, which kind of confuses me. I think that would be perfect to have in a vehicle like this, but I love that muscle car bulge in the hood. But let's get into the mid-row and see what your passengers are going to be thinking of your Hammerhead. All right, guys, mid-row time, and I'm digging how the Hammerhead gray just fits perfect in here. Really nice on the mid-row. Backs to the seats, the leather. You do have these pesky cargo nets. I'm going to zonk this because you put one throwing star in here and it's going to rip right through it. Command center, AC vents, 2 USB-As, a home power source, and you do have heated seats. And then what's cool is that you have a separate center console area for the mid-row people with your 2 cup holders, a slot for a Twinkie, and look at this. You actually can have your family jewels in here. You can hide those so nobody, kicks you in the family jewels. And then you also have a USB-A, a 12 volt, and this is a great place to just fill with popcorn. I used to love around the holidays when I was younger, my relatives would bring over to my parents' house those big, huge metal cans of popcorn with the 3 different flavors. They're like the butter, the cheddar, and the caramel. Fill that up. Seats, do they slide? Nope, but they do recline. And I like the way they have the AC controls up in the headliner so that both people have easy access to them. But let's get in the 3rd row and see if you should get this Hammerhead. All right, guys, we're in the 3rd row, and you know what? Even though I personally would option my Durango Hellcat with no 3rd row, as you can see, for a mid-size 3-row SUV, it's not too bad in here. I'm not touching the headliner, and even if you were, it's that nice soft Alcantara. You have AC vents up top, and look at my knees. They're actually not too high. And the seats, they use the same great Laguna leather that everybody else gets. You get them in the 3rd row as well. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the cargo area and see what the hell we could haul with the launch control in this Hellcat Hammerhead. All right, guys, time to get in the cargo area. Just hit the button right underneath the handle there. Lifts up. You're going to be greeted to 3 rows of space. I left the 3rd row up. You're looking at basically 17 cubic feet of space with that 3rd row up, but I promise you it gets better. Now, me personally, I would option it without the 3rd row, and you could do that, save weight. You do have your drag strip 1/4 mile Twinkie box. Those will keep your Twinkies locked and loaded. And then to put the 3rd row down, it's so simple, anybody could do it. Even a caveman. Look at that. Nice amount of space, and it would be nice, like I said, just not to even have the 3rd row. You do have a 12 volt for an air compressor, so if you're at the track and you gotta reinflate your tires after you let some air out to give you some better grip, you got that possibility, and then you could also fold down the mid row. But when you think about this SUV being the perfect vehicle to take to the track, because you could haul everything and then you could actually go down the 1/4 mile. I mean, think about it, 11.9 second 1/4 mile time. That's freaking fast. But why don't we go ahead, let's all hop in, and I want to take you on throttle and just show you how good this Hammerhead is. All right, guys, we are inside this 2025 Dodge Durango Hellcat Hammerhead, very rare special edition. I have it, of course, in track mode. We're gonna have the Torque Flight 8-speed automatic do the shifting for me at first, then we'll switch it over to manual shift with the paddles. I have the launch control set by hitting that toggle switch, left foot on the brake, right foot on throttle. You ready? On throttle, here we go, yeah! Love the way it just pins you right back to the seat. And it's cool to be able to adjust the RPM that you launch at. We just launched at 2100 RPM. But the ZF 8-speed automatic, that Torque Flight automatic transmission shifts so well on its own. Very purposeful, powerful shifts. And with the all-wheel drive, you are getting the power to the ground, no problem. And I love the way that with the adaptive suspension, it softens the rear to allow that weight transfer to happen so that you get maximum grip. Because just because you have all-wheel drive doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get maximum grip. With the way the suspension is tuned as well, also helps with that. But inside, having these upgrades of the Hammerhead edition, the Laguna leather in that Hammerhead gray, all of the fine stitching. Say what you want about the dated look, I don't care. That 710 horsepower supercharged Hemi begs to differ that there's anything outdated about this thing. And like I was saying earlier, because it's a mid-size, I love the overall dimensions of the Durango, especially compared to, say, the Escalade V. Even though I love the Escalade V, Escalade V is quite large, where this is much smaller. The only thing I would want change is get rid of that 3rd row. Don't need it, don't want it, and you're just adding extra weight. Getting to the 10.25-inch infotainment system screen is well within reach, and the fact that Dodge has done their homework with the performance pages, with all the great readouts, the different modes and everything else, really shows why this platform has lasted as long as it has. And to be quite frank, I mean, even before they got rid of the Charger and Challenger, yeah, they were dated, but from a performance standpoint, everything was there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the shifter and I'm gonna pull it over to my side, the driver's side. That's gonna put us in manual shift mode, and that's gonna allow us to use those metal paddles behind the steering wheel. Love the Alcantara steering wheel. Got a small gear indicator right of the tachometer. I wish that was a little bit larger. It would be nice if it was a little bit larger. Second gear, you ready? On throw, here we go. Love that supercharger whine. Oh my God. The sounds, the sensations. Holds a line nicely. It just is such a versatile performance SUV. I mean, you could tow 8,700 pounds with this thing, but I love the fact that when you manually shift, the shifts are very, very quick, both up the gears and down the gears. No fake sounds being pumped in. It's all real deal, Holyfield exhaust note, and that wonderful, glorious V8 supercharger sound coming from underneath the hood. Brakes feel good. You got the Brembos. You have seats that they're more comfortable than they are holding you in place, but still do a pretty damn good job, and from a comfort standpoint are freaking fantastic. I mean, that's the bottom line. They are fantastic. When you're driving normal, the Durango behaves like a pussycat. But when you want to let that Hellcat roar, and it's interesting because the sleeper look of the Hammerhead makes you think differently about it when you see it. You ready? On throw, here we go. All the way up to red line, 6,000 RPM. On the brakes, here we go. Nice smooth downshifts. Yeah. Just love the way this thing performs. And I've driven this on a wet racetrack. You would be so impressed with the grip level. Even when the track was wet, you were still able to push this Hellcat like nobody's business. And then it stops on a dime and you give everybody change. Love having the satin black painted hood. Stops any glare coming off that Night Moves beautiful paint job around it. And people notice, trust me, if they just let it kind of glaze by their eyes because it is so understated, they then get super surprised once you get on throttle and they hear that sound and they see just how fast this thing moves. I mean, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. Love it. Absolutely, positively, without a doubt in my mind, this is one bad mamma jamma. Let's do launch control again. Hit that toggle switch. Left foot on the brake. You ready? On throttle. Here we go. Yeah. Nice. Back to manual shift. You just pull that shifter, push it left or right, depending on what you want to do. Nice. Look at that. It's just so smooth, so controllable. The brute force is just ridiculous from this thing. On throttle! And then of course you got the SRT chiller that's going to take the AC and cool down that supercharger plenum. God, suspension feels great. It's just so balanced, man. It really, really is. Especially for a top-heavy SUV. It's nuts. And I'm glad that it came back. I know the original owners that bought the 2022, especially those that thought that they would, you know, mothball them and then sell them for millions of dollars one day because it was supposed to be a one-year only vehicle. I get it, they're pissed off. I'd probably be pissed off too, even though I don't buy any of my cars for the idea of an investment or anything. I mean, I buy them to drive them and enjoy them. Buy artwork or something like that. Buy stocks if you want to do some kind of investing. Cars, performance vehicles especially, are not meant for merely just investing. And it really ruins it for everybody else that wants to buy one, that wants to drive the damn thing. That's the other sad bit of news. But I'm telling you, man, the paddle's perfectly placed. Love the wheel. Good feedback from the wheel. You got your different modes. You ready? On throttle, here we go. Nice. All right, guys, one more time for you. Definitely one more time for me. You ready? On throttle, here we go. Look at that. Listen to that sound. Look at those downshifts. Yee-hoo! So glad to be able to share this with you. This is what this car is all about. If you're questioning the price, you're paying for what's under the hood. You're not paying for the freaking infotainment system or some of the finishes. Although, like I said, the Hammerhead edition does bring some nice finishes, but we got to get back to where it all started, because I could do this all day until the tank is on empty. We're going to get back to where it all started and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, never a bad day at all when you have 710 horsepower underneath your right foot, but I definitely got to thank Kimberly and the rest of the people at Dodge for getting us access to this 2025 special edition, the Hammerhead of the Durango Hellcat. Let me know what you think. Are you down with the very subtle look, or are you going to go a different direction with your performance SUV? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rights family. Got to give it up to Stephen Flood. He loves performance. He loves all-wheel drive, and he really wants a Subaru WRX STI. So show him some love in the comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.